Medical is a medical diagnostics company that recently received FDA de novo authorization for the first at-home rapid women's STI PCR test for chlamydia, gonorrhea, and trichomoniasis, or TRIC for short. Joining us now to share more is Adam de la Zerda, founder and CEO of Visby Medical. Adam, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me.
Can you give us an overview of what Visby Medical does?
Of course. So, when we go to the doctor, about half of the time, it's actually because of an infection, whether it's an eye infection, ear infection, respiratory infection, skin infections, urinary tract infections, some form of sexually transmitted infection. We go to the doctor and then we have our samples sent over to a PCR machine. The reality of it is we have no business going to the doctor for the most part here, whether it's an emergency room or an urgent care or even just a local um, primary care provider. We will be far better off dealing with this at home. If there was only a way to bring the diagnostic test from the laboratory over to you and be able to run the test at home right away. Of course, if you're positive for something, the doctor can still send you a prescription to a local pharmacy, go pick it up, and you're much better off. There are more than 100 million emergency room visits and urgent care visits that could be avoided today if we just could bring a rapid PCR test that is extremely accurate, just like any other PCR machine in the lab. But if we could bring it to somebody's home. The challenge, of course, is the PCR technology is very complex. These are instruments the size of a sofa that cost close to $1 million. And you literally need to have a PhD in clinical chemistry to supervise some of those. And that was kind of the core of the problem that we wanted to take at Visby Medical. We asked ourselves, how can we simplify it and bring it to a form factor that is so small that just anyone can run it anywhere, anytime, look for any of those infections we just talked about. And that's really why we started Visby Medical.
All right, and where did the inspiration for the device come from, and why start with women's health and STIs?
So, when we think about women's health, let me start maybe with one really troubling statistic. There are almost 100,000 women in the United States that would lose their fertility this year because of sexually transmitted infections. And it is totally and completely preventable. Those three infections, chlamydia, gonorrhea, and trichomoniasis, are the most common curable STIs. And even though they have identical symptoms, sometimes symptoms are mild, sometimes, unfortunately, there are no symptoms at all. Many times people, mostly because of stigma, but other reasons, inconvenience, cost, doctors too far, too complicated. I just don't feel like wanting to talk to a doctor about this. They wait it out and say, you know what, maybe let's wait out with some of the symptoms. It feels like something is wrong down there, but let's wait a little bit. And a few weeks later, the symptoms go away, but the underlying infection does not go away. It is still there raging and scarring the fallopian tubes and causing all those bad side effects, long-term complications, and as we said before, leading to infertility, ectopic pregnancy, and a lot of other complications downstream for the women. And that's why we said, even though what we built is a full platform, we can test for anything. We wanted to start from this particular product first for women's sexual health, to really empower women to take ownership of their own health at their own terms, being able to test privately at home, get a result immediately. I'll maybe show you the product so you kind of get a sense. We talked about PCR being a large piece of equipment. Well, this is the device that just got the approval of the FDA. As you can see, it is really simple, really small. This is in fact the only PCR machine in the world you can lift with a single hand. The way it works is you put a sample in here. It's just a simple vaginal swab. So just like the swab that we use for COVID to swab our nose, but here it's a vaginal swab. Once you put the sample, you just have to, you see this toggle, you close this lid and it starts running. And it's not going to take hours to run. In less than 30 minutes, you get the result on your phone. And if you're positive for anything, we don't just leave you hanging with the diagnosis, we're actually connecting you to care immediately. So literally within minutes of the test result being available to you, there will be a prescription waiting for you at the local favorite pharmacy.
And how does the at-home test differ from others on the market, Adam?
Basic way to diagnose for sexually transmitted infections is we go to the doctor, we collect the sample, send it over to the lab. 60 million tests a year are run that way. Now, there's some alternatives. Some companies will sell you collection kits to your home. You pee in a cup and you send it back to the lab. But again, you just have to wait that week or 2 weeks or so until you get the test result. The difference here is that we're actually bringing you a true at-home test. We're not just sending you a collection kit that you then send over to the lab and have to wait a week to get a result. You actually get a result in 30 minutes on your own terms, wherever you are, whenever you want to. And once you get that test result, again, we're not just leaving you hanging with a diagnosis. It is extremely important to close that circle and immediately give you that prescription so you can take care of these things. Again, what we're testing for here are extremely simple, curable infectious diseases. It's just that we have to know what these are. You see, the problem is, even though those three infections have identical symptoms, the treatment is completely different. So you really do need to know, is it this, that, or the other to be able to treat it accordingly.
How long does it take to get results, and how does that process work?
So once you put the sample into the device, it's running for 30 minutes, and then you get your result. Now, underneath the device, even though it looks pretty simple on the outside, we have more than 300 different components. We're actually running the exact same technology, which is really based on a genetic test, looking for the genes, not of the human, but the genes of the bacteria or the parasite in the case of trichomoniasis, where we're actually looking for those genetic codes, the unique genetic codes of these pathogens. And if we find them, we display that and, of course, report that to the app, and then the app then connects it to care, and the whole process goes from there. But it is really the exact same technology we'll see in a big centralized laboratory. We just found a way to dramatically miniaturize it so that it will fit the form factor that can fit to the palm of your hand that would allow you to run the test at home.
And I understand you just said that it does connect you with care. So I would imagine that if you do get a positive result, you would recommend following up with your medical doctor.
So you could certainly, once you get a positive result, you own that result. It is totally up to you as a patient what you want to do. We are here to empower you. So one option is, of course, you can take the test result and go to your provider. That's totally fine. But if you use our device, we're giving you one more option. From the Visby app itself, we're giving you a simple link. And if you click on that, we're connecting you free of charge or included in the price of the test. We're connecting you to a telemedicine service. And that telehealth service can actually send the prescription to you right away. So literally within 7 or 8 minutes or so from getting the test result, there will be a prescription waiting for you at your local favorite pharmacy.
And I understand, speaking of that, that you have multiple partnerships with Google, Optum Now, and DoorDash. Can you talk about how these partnerships help make this all possible?
Absolutely. Well, this product would not be what it is without these extremely important partnerships that we just announced. The partnership with Google helped us develop the app and the full connectivity. When FDA gave us their de novo authorization for this product, it wasn't just a physical device, it was also the app, what's called software as a medical device. Google helped us build it, and it's now empowered with just incredible AI tools that give the consumer at home white glove service, but at scale. Then once you have that capability to connect to a provider, the question is, well, how do we connect you to that? Well, this is where Optum Now comes in. And that linkage to the telemedicine provider, to the ability to give a prescription right away once you get a test result, is really empowered by that connectivity, by that connection to Optum Now. Then, of course, the last mile delivery is extremely important. And DoorDash and GoPuff, two companies that we just announced partnership with, are starting to stock these products across the country, which means that you can decide to buy this test, and rather than having to wait a few days for the delivery service for the mail to deliver it to you, if you're in one of those select cities that are now covered by that last mile delivery service, you will get it to your doorstep in 30 minutes. Whether you're in San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, Las Vegas, maybe one of the hotels in the strip of Las Vegas, you can order it 30 minutes later, it shows up at your door. Another 30 minutes after that, you have your diagnosis. And 7 minutes after that, there's a prescription waiting for you. Imagine being able to go from being worried about something to a pill going into your mouth, taking care of it in under 2 hours without ever having to walk into a doctor's office or an emergency room.
And besides that last option that you mentioned, where else can you get one of these tests?
So another major partnership we just announced is with Everlywell, one of the most important at-home testing companies. They're helping us to drive awareness. You can buy the test directly there. And they're just incredible partners to really educate the world, help us spread the word that this kind of diagnostic test is now available. We really are asking people here to reimagine what at-home testing can even be. And that important partnership with Everlywell, and Julia Chick is just an incredible partner here. really helped us put Visby on the map and spread the word to the world that there's a new way of doing testing, and you don't have to go. You certainly can, but you don't have to go to the doctor if you want to get tested for an STI. So many times we were concerned about something, but the difficulty of finding time, maybe taking time off of work, going to the doctor's office, only to realize that they don't really know how to help us. They still have to collect the sample and send it to the lab. Well, we might as well just take care of it ourselves here.
All right. Thank you, Adam de la Zerda, founder and CEO of Visby Medical.
Thank you so much for having me.